I see C3 being huge, but what my prayer is that we never lose that small church feel. That as big as we grow, even as we do in the sister circle, we grow, but we find a way to embrace people as individuals, and so we still have that small connected community feeling even as we grow. And so that's my prayer, that our circle church will grow, but our arms will be able to extend and hold the capacity of the growth even as we grow. And so that's what I want, and that's what will happen. We're gonna find a way to maintain that community feel, and we're gonna find a way to keep the love strong in our community. And I think that the possibilities are absolutely endless. Ministry began so many years ago for me. I was just a little young chick, okay? 14 years old, at a little church called New Testament Church of God, where my pastor was Pastor Anthony Knotts. And let me tell you, that church was so small, like when you walk in, you're at the pulpit, okay? Basically, it had like 2 rows of pews, just a little tiny church, and it was on a back road off of Willow Road, and there is where I learned that I had a call on my life. At 14 years old, when other girls were in high school, sophomores or freshmen in high school, I was learning that I had a call on my life. I was surrendering to God. I was doing what the average 14-year-old wouldn't do. I was preaching mini sermons. That's where ministry began. Pastor Knotts helped me to find and establish my voice as a young girl. And so well over 20 years later, now I can say that was the most pivotal moment in my life.
So I am I consider myself a PK, although my biological father is not a preacher. I was raised in a family of preachers. My grandfather was and still is one of my greatest examples of ministry. So that's where it began for me. Mount Calvary Holy Church, Durham, North Carolina. That's where it all started. And I was a musician. You know, as PKs, you got to do something. And my grandfather was like, you either gonna sing on the choir, you gonna usher, you gonna play the drums, And I actually ended up doing all of them. I was on the youth choir, and I really didn't like it. Like, I felt it was cooler to be a musician. So I started practicing as a drummer and became a church drummer. And being a musician, you see everything in ministry. You hear sermons. You just have to. You have to sit there, even if we doze off, or zone out. You hear them. You hear so much word, and I actually became fascinated with my grandfather and how he preached and ministered, and I think that's where it started to be instilled inside of me.
I always talk about Bishop Georgia Ruth Riley on The Nudge, and I know the ladies are like, who is this woman she keep talking about? And I say a lot about her because at a small, probably 3-year span of my ministry, probably from about 17 to 20, I was at Deliverance Tabernacle Holiness Church in Hillsborough, North Carolina, under the leadership of Bishop Georgia Ruth Riley. Bishop Georgia Ruth is celebrating 50 years in ministry this year. She is a trailblazer amongst women in ministry. At the time she came up, you didn't see female bishops that often. You didn't see female pastors that often. And so being able to watch her showed me that it is possible for a woman to lead families, to lead men, to lead women, to lead all types of people. She showed me that it is possible. And so she is a major game changer in my ministry. Of course, Apostle Gloria Samuels, the GOAT, okay? She has shown me the same thing, that a woman can be an apostle, a woman can basically be a Deborah, can lead men, can lead ministries, can carry out vision. They showed me that. And Apostle Gloria Samuel showed me that you can do it with like 6-inch heels on and be super fly and do it at the same time, which I love about that woman. So those women are pivotal in my ministry, as well as Pastor Knox.
Early on, going through high school and college, my uncles were very influential to me in ministry. And then when I got to college, my pastor at the time, Pastor Knox, became a huge, just mentor, as I was a protege and a sponge, and I learned so much hands-on ministry. I learned ministry growing up with my grandfather because I was so active and my family was so active. But I became real more hands-on with leadership up under Pastor Knox.
That is a huge change, because as an evangelist, you got the whole fivefold ministry, okay? The evangelist part, my pastor always teaches this, the evangelist is that middle finger because she reaches out to God's people. And the good thing about being an evangelist is you can reach out and go home and reach right back. Reach right back in. You go, you preach a revival, you reach out, you done. You don't know the people you're preaching to. There's no emotional connection. You're there to fire up that house so that the pastor can continue to do his work Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. There's no connection, there's no responsibility, is what I believe I'm trying to say. There's no there's no weight there for the evangelist. You come in, you give that house what they need, you empower that house so that the pastor can work, and then you leave. This is different. You never leave, okay? You come in, you preach, they're there next Sunday. Some of them in the same seat they was in last time. You like, you're back? For real? And so it's hard to preach to people that you are emotionally connected to. People you care about their souls. Their blood is on your hands. their souls are connected to your yes, and that is a hard task. So when you preach, it has to do more than fire people up. It has to grow people. It has to empower people, and that is a weight that I have never ever felt in my life. And when I felt it on that very first Sunday, I felt it, and it has yet to leave my shoulders. But I believe God has given me the grace to carry it and to preach as a shepherd. Every Sunday, second and fourth, when I drive to the church, I tell God, give me a word that shepherds your people.
You know, everything about how this has come about is new and different. And, you know, people often criticize what they've never seen. And that's probably what we have experienced. It's not something that Lady and I are not accustomed to. Everything about our ministry from the moment we came together as a union has been new and different. And, you know, there's times that people have struggled to receive that. So that's probably the biggest challenge, just the shock, you know, of a young female pastor who has a large influence, a large following, a big personality, but extremely gifted and anointed.
This thing has birthed in such a unique way. There are people coming from everywhere. And these are people, I mean, some of the people, I don't even know these people, okay? It's maybe one or two people from our church. And so it's totally different. And you know, when you have an idea in your head of what God's gonna do and how he's gonna do it, and oh man, it's gonna be like this, and this is gonna be our colors. I mean, Pastor's colors was gonna be blue, gray, white. We ain't got blue, we ain't got gray. It's totally different than what we thought. And so I'm thankful for that, because I don't want God to follow my pattern. I want to follow his pattern. My pastor used to always say this: when you follow the pattern of God, the glory will fall. And so I'm doing enough of following my own pattern, because it doesn't bring the glory. This is all God's pattern. It looks totally different than what we imagine, and I'm thankful for it.
All right, so first I want to, last time we did a team meeting, team night, I think it was back in February, around the time where we kept getting snowed out. And you guys met staff then, but since then we have been growing our staff and our leadership team. We have been delegating assignments and new titles. So I want you guys to meet the staff and the leadership of C3 so that you can know not only who they are, but what they do here at the
you know, if anybody knows Lady, I know Lady. I know ministry, I know business. Having a team is so important. You gotta have a team. And then you gotta have people who are able and not available, and competence.
I envisioned like Avengers team, you know what I'm saying? Like the Avengers, baby. Like everybody got something different. Like somebody got the web, like Spider-Man. I mean, then, you know, you got Hulk Hogan, he coming through stomping. Like, I mean, everybody has something different. I think that's what our team is.
I told Lady I needed to surround her with a competent, able team. And so that's what we kind of started looking for.
Everybody has something different, but when you put it all together, and I know Avengers is probably like really of all the things you could compare it to, but when you put it all together, it shakes the world, and that's what we're doing. And one thing I love about our team is the love they have for one another. I think that makes it even better, that they love each other, not just when we're here working. They don't just work well together. They like, you know, do popcorn and Netflix together. They like cry together, you know. They like love on each other. They do life events together. And that's what I think makes a great team, when the team really likes each other.
So you got people like TK and Danielle who are very corporate minded, you know, and they have a certain level of quality that comes with them on how they do business.
So actually I visited EBC one Sunday to hear Lady McNair. Listening to that service, it just really drew me in to want to come back. Came back the following Sunday and heard Pastor McNair. And not only was I drawn in from Lady McNair, but also from Pastor McNair. So that was the start of the connection with me and the McNairs.
So Lady and I used to work together. We were actually in the same training class at Deluxe. I met her, we connected, we clicked right away. She is extremely funny and she used to have me cracking up in the class. Now she didn't make it past the training class, she left, but now I see that I feel like she was there just for me. She came to get me. A few years later, after I had my son, we kind of connected a little bit through a mom's group chat. I don't think that she knew who I was, but I kind of knew who she was. And then fast forward to maybe like a year or so later, I was on Instagram and someone had posted a video of her on Instagram and she was preaching. And I was like, I know that lady. And so I went to her page and then I said, let me see where she goes to church at, because at that time I was a member of church elsewhere and I had been kind of praying because I was kind of over that place and I just been praying like, God, I need something new. So once I went to her page and I saw that, and I was like, well, let me see where she goes to church at. And then so somehow it was a picture or something of Emmanuel, and I clicked on that and I was like, oh, that's her husband. Okay, oh, they pastored there together. So I decided to go to Emmanuel.
Lady, as we all know, she's amazing. She really knows, like, she's very observant and she really knows people. So she really pick up on things about you that you might not have necessarily told her. And my first experience with her, she was able to kind of just really tell me some things, which I thought was just amazing.
So I remember the first time after I had joined EBC, I met with Pastor and I told him how I knew Lady, and that he called her. He was like, boo, let me tell you what, there's somebody in my office and she says she knows you, whatever. And so she made a lunch date real quick with me. I remember we went to Maxi B's. We met at Maxi B's and we talked, and you would have thought that we were just like old friends. And immediately she was like, oh, we gotta put you to work. We gotta do this. I'm like, hold on, I just joined the church. Y'all don't even know me like that.
I think I got my real first impression was last year for the grand opening of the center. Pastor Mac and Lady really entrusted me in planning that week. And my impression of the both of them at that time, especially Pastor Mac, was, I'm asking you to do something, I'm trusting you to do it, and I'm gonna let you run with it. And I think that's part of being great leaders that they are. It lets you know that they trust you to help with their vision.
So my first impression of him, he was really cool. Once I learned he went to A&T, Aggie Pride, I was all in. He was really cool and really transparent. I had never joined a church where I had a one-on-one with a pastor like that who wanted to let me get to know you, what you're all about, and it was really simple. It was really easy. I think the first few times I was kind of ducking the one-on-one because I was like, I don't want to meet with him for what? What we got to talk about? I'm a member. I pay my tithes. That's it. But I mean, once we met and we talked, it was just. I've been stuck, okay? They won't let me go, and I'm not gonna leave either, but they won't let me go.
You know, you guys, I'm gonna say you guys, but I'll say the Cutlers, bring a wealth of ministry experience, ideas, innovation, creativity is what we really appreciate about them. You know, Kendra, Alex are convertibles. They can adjust to any type of situation. If it's raining, they can put the top up, stay dry. If the sun outside, they can let the top down. Like, those are people that we needed around us.
I would preface it by just stating God ordained. Like, everything about our meeting and connection with the McNairs was God ordained. You can come across anybody anytime, but it made sense, and it was the start of a birthing, I would say.
It made sense quick. Like,
Quick.
talking from, and I'll get from my time, like Kendra met Lady, you know, some months before, but talk about from, maybe March, like from March to April, building a relationship like that quick and feeling like, you know, we've known these people for years. And it was a situation where, like, I was very closed off at that period, especially with pastors and preachers. We had just transitioned from a ministry where we worked, like,
Very hard.
We did a lot. And, you know, there we had a relationship with that pastor as well. We were close. And it ended kind of roughly. And so I was at a point where, you know, at least for my family, like, we're cool. Like, church, they can have it.
Church and leadership.
Church and
No,
leadership.
they're good.
We can have it. They can have it. And so they met us during that time, but it just felt right. Like, it felt right when we met them. It happened quickly. And it literally became a covenant relationship, like, within a matter of 1 to 2 months.
From that start there, if you even look at the time frame as to us having Chloe now, it's God ordained. But right after that was the Sister Circle. Like, a few days after the Remember Her Room, there was a mutual friend that had posted about the Sister Circle, which I had gotten involved with at the time because we're in the pandemic. And I thought that it would be beneficial for me for my personal and spiritual growth, because just like Alex said, we were in the middle of a transition from a previous ministry where we did not, we were not just over church, we were over leadership. So in another sense, I'm grateful for their grace with us because we were very closed off.
Yeah.
We were very closed off.
Yeah.
And just like he said, we always worked. We worked. And that's what we know to do. We know to serve, we know to work. So it was even different, you know, coming here and being able to heal, being able to just sit and heal, or even to work and heal. If it wasn't for the McNairs, we would definitely still be on the couch eating Swiss cake rolls. I'll be eating Swiss cake rolls. I don't know what you be eating.
Convertibles, people that can easily adapt, because ministry is constantly adjusting. You got to be transparent. You know, things gonna change. People that can troubleshoot. People that doesn't need to always hear what to do, because Lady ain't not that type of leader. She needs people who take the initiative to lead.
And I still don't have adequate words for my appreciation for the McNairs, because not just to Remember Her Room, but throughout our entire process of her conception, her being here, the McNairs have been there every step of the way.
They literally guided us through the process, connected us with the doctor who could help, you know, showed up to appointments, prayed with us outside in the parking lot, like these type of things.
We never experienced before, we never expected, but we're beyond grateful for, and we know that, or we knew that we were covered and that our daughter was covered.
Yeah. they were very instrumental. Like, I feel like they put in more on Chloe than we have. I mean, we're being honest, you know, they've been there every step of the way. And that's even, you know, furthered our relationship, you know, speaking with them at least one time a day, if not more. We've grown really close with them, but it's through actions, it's through them keeping their word and them just being who they say they are.
So it was even them caring for us during that time, and not just caring for us, but pouring into us without expecting anything from us. You know, we're ready to serve. We're used to serving. We're like, okay, we're going through, but what y'all need? And they're like, you know, just take a moment. You don't want to stop, but you know, just giving us that time to heal, to build trust. Because if it would have been me, I'm like, okay, they're not ready. We're just gonna lead them to the side. But they guided us. They were very there for us.
And a lot of people didn't notice, like, I was coming around Sister Circle outside of retreat. I did work retreat, but outside of that, I was coming around Sister Circle and didn't play for like the first 3 months I was around. Like, just because I was just here to heal, and they let me have that time to do that. And you know, when the situation was to where, you know, I could play, it was just an easy thing to do. There was nothing. Trust had already been built by that time, and so it just felt like I was back to serving.
You know, I think in a small way, the entire staff has made a sacrifice. You know, and I don't want to say, ooh, her sacrifice was bigger than hers. I think all of our staff has made a major sacrifice to be a part of this ministry. And I thank God for it every single day, for them launching out into the deep with me. But there are a few that stand out, a few that push me into my yes. And the two that definitely come to my mind all the time is Kiera and Crystal.
Crystal and Kiera probably were the first ones that really clicked with us. Like, okay, this is something unusual.
These girls are faith water walking bad boss chicks, okay? I mean, when you call Circle Pastor and basically tell me we are at Home Depot right now buying boxes. Wait a minute, hold on. I know I said put your foot on it in the nudge, but you know, sometimes I'm like, I didn't want y'all to like put your foot on it like today, but they took a Saturday, day 13, wherever day, and I said, some of y'all need to buy some boxes.
We've been friends. We met in what, like 2009 maybe?
Maybe so. Yeah.
2008 or 2009. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, like 2008. We met in college, singing in the gospel choir. But I remember my mom calling me like, we had this little preacher from Thomasville this morning, and she was just like going on and on and on about this lady from Thomasville. So that was probably about the same time, like 2008, 2009 maybe. No, DC was 2011, 11 or 12. So that was my introduction to Lady Leah.
Well, Kiera introduced me to Pastor Leah as we got introduced to the Sister Circle. So she was new to me, and it has been a wild ride ever since.
So like I said, I kind of heard about her through the grapevine, and so over the years when her name would like pop up on my timeline, I would kind of go like clicking around like, okay, she's like that, okay. So then when her name popped back up for the Sister Circle, I was intrigued. It was different. We weren't going to church. Everything was virtual. And it was just something different. I needed something at the time. I was just kind of, to be blunt, I was just kind of over church as usual.
Yeah.
And this was something different. And I think it was just her personality that kind of grabbed my attention at first, because that 6:30 I'm not a morning person, so I didn't want to do it.
Right.
But
I kept getting up every morning because I think it was just her personality that just like really drew me to her at first.
Yeah. I think for me, it was more so her relatability. Like, it just felt like you were talking with some of your homegirls about, you know, the things that you learn in the Bible, and just the comedy hour at the beginning of the nudge really drew me in. Just because it was relatable, it was relevant, and she was super transparent and authentic. I think those are the things that really drew me in.
So they went to Home Depot literally within, I think, about 3 months. They were here. And so I realized, God, you are not playing. You want your people to be shepherded, and you're bringing women and their families from every end of the earth for this vision. And so it made me give God, we always say this amongst the staff in a joking way, but it really is real. I gave God a yes with a capital Y, okay? It made me put a capital Y on that yes.
They probably don't know how much they have motivated Lady. So if people ever thought that she would stop this and quit, like, they should thank Crystal and Kier. Because you can't have nobody uproot their life and then you say, I can't do this no more. No, you can't.
The move happened so fast.
Yeah, super fast.
We had known them less than a year when we moved. So we met Lady in like February. By March, I was thinking about moving, but I was too terrified to say anything. I just met this lady last month. But again, I knew what I heard. So I wasn't saying anything. And then I would just like drop little hints around the house just to see if she was gonna say anything. And then I think she kind of started throwing hints too. And so I'm like, okay, I think she's thinking what I'm thinking, but we both too chicken to say it. So like a couple of months went by, and then
we had been driving down for day 21.
Yeah, for like 3 months maybe.
At least.
And then, you know, working behind the scenes, like virtually with the millennials, you know, like whatever Lady asked us to do, we were doing it. And so then we kind of started having these little conversations like, you know, I'm thinking about moving to Greensboro. Like, she's like, oh, me too. We're like, okay. So we both can't be crazy.
Right.
So we're both hearing the same thing. Then one of our DC aunties called us and was like, I'm gonna just give you what the Holy Spirit gave me. Do with it what you will. Y'all gotta move. And we were like, we hadn't said anything to anybody. And she said, you know, you're called to serve Circle Pastor in this season, and you can't do it from South Carolina. And that still wasn't enough. At least for me, it wasn't. I still was chicken. And I said, this lady's gonna think we're crazy. This is maybe like April. We just met her in February. I'm not saying anything. And I said, Lord, okay, if this is my pastor, if you're speaking to me, you're speaking to her. And you have to make her say it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but that's what I told the Lord. I'm not saying it because I'm too scared.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, y'all, if I'm lying, I'm flying. Talking to Lady one day, this was maybe like May at this point, and she said at the end of the conversation, like, oh, by the way, I just want to let you know, I'm about to start praying y'all back to North Carolina. And I literally started like hyperventilating.
Indeed.
I started like hyperventilating, like it makes me sweat to think about it. She's like, I'm about to start praying y'all back to North Carolina. I need y'all closer. She said, this is bigger than the millennials. I don't know exactly what, but I'm about to start praying y'all back. And she said, I just wanted to let you know, because you know when I start praying, things start moving. So she's like, I just wanted to give you a heads up that I'm about to start praying y'all back. And we were like, okay, let's do it. We sat down with P-Dot after that, Pastor Mac. We sat down with him, and that was the so when are y'all moving conversation.
Yeah, what do we need to do?
How can we help you get here?
I think I still was on, I was a little leery until we sat down with Pastor Mac.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
scared the entire time.
Yeah.
Super scared. Like, Lord, am I hearing you right? Is this what I'm supposed to do?
Definitely, am I hearing you right?
Yeah, I doubted it probably until we had that conversation. Like, they're extremely serious about this and willing to do whatever it takes. Like, they're serious about us and serious about this move. And
Yeah.
I think after that, we were like, okay, let's hit the ground running. I think, what was that, June?
That was June.
June?
So we met her in February.
Yeah.
By June, we were planning to move.
By June, we were planning to move. When we came back from our meeting in June, we got a letter that our lease was basically up. And so we had to like make a decision like the week after that. And,
If we were gonna move.
Yeah, and I think that for me was like confirmation. Like,
Confirmation.
we're not renewing this lease.
We're not renewing our lease. I was still scared though.
Of course. I think
was-
we were scared until after we got here. You know what I mean? Like, still sometimes I'd be like, Lord, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
I think even though I was terrified, I trusted Lady. I trusted her, and I know that if she said it, the Lord told her to say it.
Yeah.
And that was what I stood on. Because again, I was chicken about it. It got down to the wire and we realized we were gonna have to move without jobs. And I would legit call Lady like, this ain't it. Like, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
And she would say, when you talk fear, I gotta talk faith. And I trusted her as my pastor, as my
Yeah.
spiritual covering.
Yeah.
If you're saying that you heard from God, I heard from God, she heard from God, Pastor Mac heard from God, then okay, let's do it. We're terrified. We don't
do it
have
right.
no jobs,
Don't know where we're supposed to live. We're gonna figure it out.
but let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was,
The rest is history. I feel like that is like the motto for this.
this was a 6-month span,
Yeah, maybe
a
so.
little longer than that. We ended up moving in September
Yeah.
of 2021.
Met in February, sat down in June, and moved in September.
And then of course there was others to follow. You know, my brother, whom, you know, him and his whole family.
My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Tiffany Jones, Brandon Jones, they upped and moved. They believed God with us for this vision, and it's major moves of faith like that I believe are the catalyst for what God is doing in C3.
Pastor and Lady have been trying to get us to move to Greensboro for years now. Like, every time we would come and visit, it would kind of be one of those things like, why don't y'all just move? Why don't y'all just move? And it was kind of like always the thing that we would shrug off, like, you know, yeah, maybe. And it's like nothing, like, I think for us, it was never even,
a serious thought, right?
yeah,
No.
a serious thought. It was like they wanted us to, but it was like, you know, we're cool where we are, like Greensboro. So I think as the circle grew and I was driving more and more from Cary to Greensboro, probably sometimes 2 or 3 times a month, sometimes maybe more. I think that's when we really started to consider it, because I think for him it was like, hey, you know, you back and forth on the road a lot. I think from a male perspective, he was like, you know, the car, you put a lot of miles on it. So I think once we started like really growing, things started really taking off. I was working more and more for the circle. I think that's when we probably really started to consider it and having, you know, the conversations about it. And so he kind of looked at me and was like, you know, do you want to try it? And I was like, you know, of course, let's pray about it. Let's see, you know, let's see what the Lord says. And so we started looking for a place, and we weren't having any luck finding a place, getting approved for a place, nothing. And so we were like, well, maybe this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. I think definitely it's a conversation we had at one point. And it just literally all fell in place. September 2021, I feel like within a matter of maybe a couple of weeks, he had gotten a job. He was already working here. He was on the road at that point, and we finally found a place. We got approved, and we were here in October. Do we second guess it? I think, absolutely. Sometimes it's kind of like, what have we done? Like, are we sure this what we're supposed to be doing? But I think every time we start to second guess ourselves, I think there's little peaks of, confirmation, like you're going in the right direction. This is what you're supposed to be doing.
I just want to make sure everything's lined up or situated to to where if we did make the move, everybody gonna be happy, or most definitely she was gonna be happy, and of course I was gonna be happy. If she happy, I'm happy, and hopefully the kids gonna be happy, and if they were all happy, I'm cool with it.
The entire staff has made a huge faith walk, made a huge faith step, and I believe God is honoring it. Probably the biggest back end struggle is family, adjusting with family. It takes a lot of time to prepare for morning worship. It takes a lot of time to prepare sermons, to my average hours preparing for sermons and nudges and everything that I do, probably a good 40-hour work week. I don't work 9 to 5, but I do work 9 to 5. And so, in between that, there's meetings, there's family, there's members who have needs. But then there's my own family that has needs. And I can never neglect my family. My boys are at an age where they need me more than ever. And they are not willing to share me that much. They still want graham crackers and milk, okay? And they want it on time, okay? So, I'm balancing all of that. That is a lot of the pressure of C3. This added yes that I've given God in addition to the sister circle. Another probably added little pressure, is chatter. I try not to give too much attention to it, but chatter is a lot of the pain of this. How can I say this without getting teary? Without getting emotional. When people have an idea of you and they don't know you, and they give other people that idea of you, and they want you to be something that you're not, and they want you to stop doing something that you believe God has called you to do because it's uncomfortable for them. That can be painful. That can be stressful. And then, in church, you want to be accepted. You want everybody to love you. You want everybody to appreciate what you do. And as an evangelist, that's what I had. Everybody loved me. Everybody loved me. They enjoyed, hey, come preach at my church. Because I know you going right back to the crib. You going right back home. But, arising as a Deborah has also made me a black sheep. And being rejected is hurtful.
I think the biggest thing is, everything about how this has come about is new and different. And, people often criticize what they've never seen. And that's probably what we have experienced. It's not something that Lady and I are not accustomed to. Everything about our ministry from the moment we came together as a union has been new and different. And, there's times that people have struggled to receive that. So that's probably the biggest challenge.
But I'm willing to pay that price in order to give God this yes.
So I'm gonna do it.
I think this is exciting and an exciting time to be able to establish, to be graced to establish, to have the assignment to establish. So I think it is a great time. We already know we have a pastor, we have covering, we have leadership, but to be able to establish what is C3, I think is great, and to be a part of that, I think is amazing, and just maneuvering that aspect.
Yeah, I think, not only as a whole in terms of when we talk about community, but just coming from a man's perspective, with lady pastoring, as a man, the first thing you're going to question is there going to be something there for me? And C3 is very intentional about making sure that men feel welcome. And I think that's something that's big, as a husband, as a father, that I have somewhere that not only will my daughter and my wife be fed, but I also would get something out of it as well.
That community feeling is huge to me because I'm a transplant. I don't have family here. C3 is my family. Staff is my family. The community members, they're my family. Having a place where you belong, having a place that I feel comfortable to be, a place that I feel comfortable to operate in my gifts, that is community to me.
After my mom passing and kind of going through a period where I felt like I had to figure out what my identity was without the person who gave me my identity, I think I was trying to find a place to be myself. I don't have to put on any facades. I don't have to wear certain attire to be, accepted. Just like he said, it just feels like you belong here. And I knew that C3 was gonna be a place where we all felt rooted and planted in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So I think that's community for me, the ability to be myself authentically, just be me.
Community for me is unity. It is reaching out to other people, bringing them in from off the street. Knowing who your neighbor is sitting beside you, introducing yourself, knowing people, loving on people, and just really getting to know who people are. People always want to feel honored. They want to feel like they matter, and so I think that C3 is a place where we definitely make people feel like they matter because we have those leaders that do that. Again, they're extremely personable, they're very transparent, and those are the things that I just love about them.
I think for me, community means family, it means friends, it means fellowship, it means serving. Community is big for us. I think we like being able to make connections with people and hang out with people, that we can connect with and have those genuine friendships. And and that was one thing I think when we were living where we were living before, that's one thing that we were lacking outside of, family. We really didn't have that community. And so C3 definitely has afforded us a community of people that I don't think we in our adult lives we've ever, really had. So community is big. Community means a lot.
We're family here. We are truly a family. We don't mind coming together to help each other out, friendly. I think the most important thing is just, being a family and staying connected.
The encouraging word for them is, and I say this to business owners, enjoy the ride. enjoy the ride. Nobody knows what, you guys, Kiera, the whole team, nobody knows what they've signed up for. And I mean, we're all just like walking, not blindly, we're being led by, Lady, her leadership, the vision that I've set over, over the ministry. Enjoy the ride, because that's the beautiful thing about God, is when you walk by faith, don't get so caught up in what you don't see that you don't start celebrating the moments when God, shows up and shows out. So enjoy the ride, enjoy the community, enjoy the fellowship, enjoy that somebody loves you and care about you. Even if you don't get to always get to Lady and get that closeness, there's not one person that can't say she doesn't care. Enjoy that you got somebody that genuinely cares and prays and sacrifices enough to seek a word for you. So enjoy that. And then I mean, eyes haven't seen. I never do anything to be small. Like I've never started a business to have one customer. So I look at that as a ministry. The goal is not one customer, one community. The goal isn't what we would consider today mega. The goal is to be effective and impactful. I think when you are effective and impactful, then one of the results and fruit of that is people.
So for my brothers and sisters that are on the fence, okay, I get it. I've been on the fence before, okay? And you wanna be somewhere that's not like where you've been. You don't want the same old. What I believe is the beauty of C3 at this point is we're building this together. And you have an opportunity along with me, with the help of God, to build where you want to be. If you want ice cream after church, help me build the ice cream ministry, baby. If you want to make sure that every seat has popcorn and Skittles while we getting the word of God, come on, help me build it. You have the ability to help build the place where you want to be. That is the beauty of what we have together. And I love how our people here at C3, we're open-minded. We are one body, but we have so many different talents, so many different abilities, so many different types of people. You fit in anywhere here. You don't have that awkward feeling of needing to be a part of a clique or a group or a club within a group. You can come in and just feel the love as soon as you walk in the door, and that is my prayer being answered. And that's what I want. I want you to walk in and say, man, this is where I want to be. And I want to help build a place where I'll always want to be. No matter how many years I've been here, I'll always walk in the door and want to be here because it's something that I help build. So listen, come help me build this. Come help me build this great ministry that God has placed into my hands, Circle City Church. We're waiting on you.